Yo, Maddy, welcome on board to the podcast.
Hello, mate.
How's it's been busy, but things are going steady. So yeah, maybe for the audience, why don't you share about yourself and just tell them about you and what do you do, so the audience knows. Yeah.
Yeah, so my name is Maddy. I've been an entrepreneur for the past 8 years.
Damn.
Yeah, I started when I was 24 years old. I
Wow.
give away my age, but yeah, my first business was a food truck. So I was part of that food truck craze. We did a lot of corporate events, and then I opened a cafe in newcomers. Then after that, I did a lot of small-time businesses like interior design, fashion, and last but not least, fell on software development, and that's where we are right now. Plus vibes.
Damn, that's amazing, and we'll definitely get into that. I just want to say that after doing, and I think I told you guys earlier, about 4 to 5 interviews, not that many, but all of them were guys. So interviewing a lady is definitely very different. I can tell, firstly, the vibe, the look, it's also different. I think entrepreneur and guys, they just don't care about fashion sense. And I notice you and your team, I guess, have really good fashion sense. So that's interesting. Actually, I want to ask, how important is fashion and presentation for doing business? I'm just very curious to hear on that.
Do you believe in the term where dress how you want to be treated, or something like this, where actually how you dress makes you feel good? It plays a big role in terms of your confidence level, how you bring yourself, and I think that's why I like dressing up.
So yeah, it's a controversial question for me because I tend to say this, even my friends saying that if you look good, it's not about your quality. I mean, no, it's a quality, yes, but looks, do they play a big role? And it shouldn't play that big a role, but subconsciously people are like, wow, you look good, you dress good, we're going to support you more. I mean, how big a role is that, especially for women entrepreneurs and men entrepreneurs?
I don't think it's more like if you look good and people are going to support you more. No, it's more of your confidence. So when you dress well, you feel confident, you project confidence, and
Yes.
that's what will make people believe in your ideas or your business.
I
It's
see.
more personal confidence.
Yes. Now, I say this also because I notice you dress very well, and a lot of entrepreneurs I meet, especially the all guy entrepreneurs, men entrepreneurs, they don't dress well. They look nerd and all that, and so I'm just wondering, if they did dress well and they learned a thing or two, they would probably get better deals.
Do they feel good?
They don't look the part.
It doesn't matter, but do they feel good? Do they feel confident
They,
about
f-
themselves?
they feel confident, yes. Okay, I think you're right. I think you're right, yes. So, but of course, if you dress the part and you look the part, that'd be good. No, that's amazing, right? So, going back on your background and going back in your history, I mean, why do you do what you do? Actually, what motivates you? What drives you for the past 8 years? What was life like as an entrepreneur for you,
Good
right?
question, yeah. I think some people, well, it's different. Some people like staying in a comfort zone, right? Where there's no risk. You feel stable. You feel secure in terms of your career.
Yes.
If you're in a particular corporate company, you know that there's a career plan and career growth.
Yes.
For me, I like the challenge. I like the fact, the risk. Doing something different that you completely don't know. And then every year or every month, it's always something new. So it's not very routine kind of thing. I think that's why I do it. And that's why I jump from industry to industry, right? After 3-4 years, the market trend dies and
Yeah.
you work on something that is new.
Given that you're an entrepreneur for the past 8 years and you started quite young actually, right? What's the biggest learning you can give to people as an entrepreneur and as a woman entrepreneur?
I think that people take it for granted that when you go into business, you start your own business, that you don't need financial background or you don't need some sort of education. I mean, you have the passion, you have a great idea, and you just jump into it.
Yeah.
But you go into a lot of risk, and that's where you get into a lot of trouble, getting demotivated, these kind of things, because you don't have that kind of knowledge to back up your business plan or think of new ideas or think of different strategies. So I think for me, that's why I did my MBA. I went back to do my MBA while I was doing the food truck.
Which one? Where is the
In
MBA?
Malaysia. I did in Toulouse.
Nice. Okay. Wow.
Yeah, so while I was doing that food truck, while I was doing that cafe, I went back to school, learned how to do that financial production, how to do marketing.
Yes.
Because I think that's very important. That's how you really create a sustainable business.
Yes.
But as a woman, honestly, it's tough. I mean, it's a man's world. I think everybody
Really?
is like,
Okay.
yes, it is.
Okay.
There's different opportunities that are given to women. I think you have to prove yourself more. which is why I feel that it's important for a woman to be confident, because that actually makes you more credible.
Yes.
Hence why I like to dress up.
Damn, interesting. So if you can elaborate a bit more for the audience, especially there's a lot of women entrepreneurs out there, and I must say that not enough content are targeted towards them. As a woman entrepreneur in Malaysia, because I'm going to assume that's actually different everywhere as well, can you share what are the challenges and opportunities for them? Maybe in Malaysia, but I think in general as well as women entrepreneur, and how to navigate that landscape, right?
I think it's also that when people think of women entrepreneurs, they're like, oh, are you doing beauty or are you doing fashion?
Okay.
It's either those two things, right?
Okay.
You wouldn't think of women in tech.
Okay.
Women in tech is completely different. They're like, are you sure you know what you're doing? Let me see how far you've gotten. Let me see your track record. You really have to prove yourself. But the skeptical perception that people keep on saying that, oh, okay, you're doing fashion, or you're doing some kind of product, or
Yes.
you're doing makeup, skincare.
Yes.
That's the big challenge. But then again, it's an easier, a lower barrier of entry for
Yes.
women, and that's why they do it. And it's also something they're passionate about, so it's not wrong. It's just that there's a difference in terms of industries. The industries that get well known are the ones in tech, oil and gas, and that's where you see a lot of these male entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
So it's very different. People don't think that female-led businesses are very important or significant in that matter.
Okay. So one stereotype that I see a lot when people go for women entrepreneurs is that a lot of investors feel that they're not as driven, or the moment they have a kid, they're not gonna push the business. How do investors assess women entrepreneurs, and also given those factors I mentioned, right? How does a women entrepreneur counter that?
Yeah, that's the most difficult part. I went to the Women's Pavilion in Dubai. They had an expo.
Yeah.
Right? So there's a specific Women's Pavilion talking about how women have actually contributed a lot to society, and women-led businesses actually thrive because they're more focused on empathy, they're more focused on social impact.
Yeah.
I think the direction for women businesses are very different. But then again, when investors look at it, what are investors looking at?
Yes.
Is it social value, or is it profitability, or
Yes.
is it a marketing strategy? So male-led businesses are more preferred in that sense. It's a difference in need and requirement, I
Yes.
guess. It's like whether you're looking for profitability, an exit strategy, or are you looking for a long-term kind of thing where you contribute to society, you build businesses that help humanity. Not to say it's not profitable, but there's more social impact, less profitability, or maybe it's a longer run.
Yeah. If I can dwell a bit more on this topic about women entrepreneurs as well, because we don't get that many women entrepreneurs, is there a real benefit to having a woman co-founder on board a company? Yes, what's the real tangible benefits? Or are you saying that doesn't matter who it is, male or guy, we don't care, as long as they have friends or they can work well together, that's it. There's no real benefit to either, all women team, all men team, or a mix?
I think it should be mixed. The reason
Okay.
why is because you provide different balances in terms of what male feel important and what women feel important. It's completely two different things. So when you have that kind of, it's a
Interesting.
partnership, right?
Yes.
Even in marriage, it's that balance. Why?
Yes.
Why is it the opposite sex? Because you have different point of views.
Yes.
You have different values. You have different things that you think need to be focused on, and you get both that benefit, I guess. So I think it should. Any male entrepreneurs look for your co-founders to be female. Same female, the co-founder should be male. Different point of views. And
Yeah. No, now that you mention it, it makes sense, because if you're targeting, and look, half the population of the world is women. So if you're targeting the mass market, you need someone on your team that thinks like them. And if you're all guy, you won't be able to think like a woman, right? And it's the same like a women entrepreneur, you won't think like a male entrepreneur. So no, that's a good point, and that's very interesting to consider. So people who are watching this will probably want to know, okay, great, we need women entrepreneurs, we need more of them, good. What will you say is the problems that women entrepreneurs are facing, let's just say in Malaysia, and what do you think can be done if there's any problems right now that women entrepreneurs are facing in terms of having more participation in entrepreneurship?
I think if there are two businesses that are exactly the same, both with the same profitability or social value, investors or anyone would choose the male. And honestly, I'm not sure.
Oh,
why.
really? From your experience?
From my experience is that.
Really? Okay.
I'm not sure why. I think perhaps because they might find it easier to work with male rather than women.
Okay.
They might think long-term women will, suddenly give up or have families or, drop with the business or something like this. But if there were two opportunities on the table, one led by male, one led by female, I think most in Malaysia would choose the male one. And to be honest, I'm not sure why.
And you are saying that from just your experience talking to individual investors or companies or VCs?
Yeah,
or?
definitely.
Okay.
I mean, because I'm competing in mental health, and the other, I would say, competitors, some are male, some are female, but the thing is, people lean towards male, even when you're given opportunities. People always be like, okay, let me see who are the other competitors, what are other people doing in this area, and then they'll lean towards male perhaps, and that's why you need to be confident, and that's why I think that for women entrepreneurs, you need to be confident, and that's something that you can really sell in terms of business as well.
How can we solve the problem of having more women entrepreneurs in Malaysia, and taking aside that, okay, pump in more money through investment, okay, let's take this out of the picture. How do we inspire more women to be more entrepreneurial? Because if I can say my personal opinion, I don't know. I just don't feel that a lot of women in general are just as ambitious. Because they don't need to be as ambitious. They can have families. They can have kids. Do they feel more ambitious compared to men? Right? You know what I mean?
They're afraid to take risks.
Okay.
When you go on to something like that, I mean, it's a difference in how we were brought up. Male are, okay, go to the playground, play with this, play rough sports, take that risk, take that challenge. But women are more soft on that sense. So it's generally our upbringing as well. Do you agree? No?
Yeah, yes,
so how we
yes.
grow up, how the personalities that we develop are very different. So women are not trained, I guess, or not brought up to take risks. They're more of the comfort, providing that safe space. That's the kind of personality that we have developed. But some of us, me especially, the rebels who like the risk, who like the challenge, who feel that, hey, I want to do what men are doing too. We're the ones who actually take the risk. And the thing is, how to get more women entrepreneurs? To give them that kind of education, that background, that support, to encourage them, to inspire them to take that risk, and that they can actually do it too if they want to.
To inspire them, and if I can add one thing where I really like this movie called Enemy at the Gates. It's an old movie, and it's all about how the Russians in World War II were losing against the Germans. And in that movie with Jude Law is the hero that inspires the Russians who were dying. This sniper who was killing off the Germans, right? So having a hero to look up to, someone to inspire you. In Malaysia, do we have, and I say Malaysia because I really want the country to do well, right? And I think Malaysia, apart from Singapore, we are the second best in the region, and we're poised to do well. The thing is, how do we inspire more women? I think inspiration is the big thing first. Money will come in once they are really passionate. What's the way to inspire them now? We're seeing initiatives and specific things that can be done.
The small things that we are doing with Plus Fives, and what I'm personally doing is doing talks with universities. That's something we do almost every week. That we want to inspire the younger generation, the youth especially, to really take risks, take challenges, to be motivated, to try out something different. And the thing is, you never know how much your words can actually mean to a person. It's very different when you don't have someone to look up to, when you don't have a role model. You feel like you're not motivated to try out different things because you're thinking like, no, it's okay, I'll just stay in my comfort zone. But when you see someone else doing something that you're thinking like, wow, imagine if I could be like that one day. And then you actually study. I mean, I like studying biographies, right? So you study, okay, that person went through a small food truck and then started doing a cafe, and then she slowly built herself, and look where she is today. She's independent. That's what I want to inspire people to be like. because I'm saying that I started from a food truck. So if you wanted to, you can also start from a food truck. You can start from anything small. It doesn't have to be, you have to go all out big straight away.
Yeah.
You know? So I think there needs to be more people like that to share their story, and I think there are a lot. There are a lot of women, successful women entrepreneurs, but probably they haven't shared their story. They're just comfortable living their life, helping the people around them. But I think they should really speak up, because that would encourage more females to really take that risk. And
Yes.
yeah.
What's the one secret superpower you think women entrepreneurs have that men entrepreneurs don't have? And logically, if men entrepreneurs and women entrepreneurs are different, men will have their superpower and women entrepreneurs will have their own superpower as well, logically. What do you think is that secret superpower women entrepreneurs have? And maybe you have your own secret superpower as well, if you can share with us.
That's actually a good question. I need to think hard about that. A secret superpower.
Or superpower that's not secret, sure. But and I say this because simple example, I know that women are more emotional, intuitive, and it's just psychological facts, right? It's facts of male and women. So that's just one thing. But I mean, what do you think, in your opinion, from an entrepreneurial perspective?
Okay. I'm not sure if this is accurate or not, but
Yeah.
what I feel is that when you have a women-led business, it's more inclusive. It's
Okay.
more personal. It's more close together. I mean, I don't know how men-led entrepreneurs, but there's no hierarchy, there's no top-down approach, there's no corporate system. With females, it's more like you're working together as a team. You feel that kind of compassion, you feel that empathy, you feel that you're actually working towards building a goal
Yes.
together. And that's a value in a women-led startup. Other than that, I think it's communication skills. I mean, women communicate differently than men. I think that's the thing. Yeah.
Will you say that factually, based on the law of averages, women are, better communicators and more in tune with emotion compared to men, and so the organizations they lead as well tend to have that kind of benefits?
True, but men are more focused on the goals. So women might take the longer route, but yeah, I think how we communicate is very different, and that might be something that is a superpower. So I think a lot of women should, but then again, that's also a weakness. Why? Because not most women are confident enough to speak up. So they don't use that kind of skill. It's a hidden skill for some.
Yeah.
So they don't communicate. They don't share their thoughts. They're afraid.
Yeah.
So I think that's what women should leverage on.
Yeah, no, you're right, because everyone has their pros and cons, right? And men have their pros and cons, and I think women have their pros and cons as well. And I think it's when you combine them together, and I think that's what makes for a very good partnership. And even at Hacker Collective, I can say that we are 90% male. And I've tried very, very hard to find women. It's just difficult. I haven't told my business partner Derek. I'm talking just from a staffing perspective. They just don't apply to us. Or those that apply to us, okay, we have some really dynamic person, right? Dress the part, look the part. Guess what? She wants to be a flight stewardess. Travel the world. She used to work at Emirates. I'm like, I understand that's a better life, and business is boring. Doesn't sound as glamorous as fun. Go and do it. And I understand that, right? So I said that, hey, all the most confident looking women out there and the best ones. Okay, so there is, of course, a lot of good women people out there as well. It's just that you get a lot of male applicants. I don't know why we got a lot more male applicants, and that's something where
the tech industry.
so when we apply, when we post for technology jobs, yes, almost so many all male, right? For marketing jobs, we do get some women as well, right? We get some, but the experience has been tough for us. I mean, I think it's that ratio of 3 guys, 1 woman, something like that. I'm actually not sure why, and I think something we'll have to explore, but definitely a very good conversation on this women topic. So Maddy, I would love to chat more about what you're doing now, which is Plus Vibes. And I think through one of our colleagues, Hannah, we got to know about Plus Vibes, and we got a good chance to meet together. And when I heard you say mental health, I think, wow, it's amazing because COVID has been really, really difficult for a lot of people, and mental health is a big topic now. Can you share with us what got you started to this point? How do you even think about this idea and why? Yeah.
Well, a bit of a sensitive topic, but sure.
Just share what you can share.
I think, when you go into business, it's mainly because you have passion, right? So last year, I was still doing construction, interior design, those kind of things. I was in my last semester of my PhD, but then I suffered a nerve damage. And that nerve damage really shifted everything in my life. I had to stop almost everything. I deferred my PhD, I stopped all my businesses, and I took a break. I took a few months break because I was on painkillers, I was on medication. It was a life that I never felt before. Going into depression, having anxiety, panic attacks, and trust me, it's not good having panic attacks and going to emergency rooms and then having the doctors look at you and be like, calm down. You can't keep going into panic attacks because you're gonna, keep cramping up your body or you're gonna just make it even worse. And I'm like, it's not something I can control.
Okay.
So that's when I realized that when you have those kind of breakdowns, no one really understands it. And being in front of other people just makes you even worse. It doesn't really comfort you, it makes you feel even worse because you have that kind of thing where people judge you. So then I stayed at home, took medication, and I was going in a cave. It was really maddening. I was so depressed. No one was there to help me. And that's when I was thinking like, okay, I need to talk to someone without them knowing me, without going out of the house. I need some motivational videos. I need some relaxation activities, all at my fingertips.
Yes.
And where can you get that? Well, you can say internet, you can say YouTube, you
Yes.
can say Google, you can say call someone. But what I had to do was go on different platforms and actually take a lot of effort to Google something. And sometimes when I'm just in that zone, I'm thinking, what do I Google on YouTube to motivate myself,
Yes.
You're just in that blank zone. So then, that's how we thought about Plus Vibes. Got a few friends who are very passionate about mental health. I think everyone, whether close to them or around them, has had their loved ones affected by mental health.
Yes.
And there's nothing you can really do. So then that's why we wanted to do this app where you could talk to someone in 2 minutes.
Okay.
Just chat with anyone, just share whatever you're going through anonymously so they don't know you. We've got the motivational articles and videos if you just want to browse something just to lift up your mood. And we've got those relaxation activities, listening to peaceful soundtracks, ocean waves, calming meditation, anxiety relief techniques, breathing techniques, all of that in just one app. You can just browse everything. You don't have to open different types of platforms
Yes.
to get that kind of relief. And that's how Plus Vibe started. So it's basically what I really needed at that point. Yeah.
That's very good to hear. You faced the problem and you went for it, so that's really good. I'm going to share from my perspective. I want to hear your thoughts about this. Honestly, I never faced that problem, right? You had a really serious breakdown, you had some serious issues. Fine. Plus Vibes is clearly helping people with serious problems. What about the rest of us? How do or you're saying, nope, it's not for the rest, it's for the serious people, or how can the rest of society, the majority of people, benefit from this app, unless you're saying, no, it's not meant for them, it's meant for us, like for you?
That's exactly how we're different, because the current market is only tackling those with mental illness. I mean, if you talk about our competitors, you talk about traditional mental health solutions, it's all about mental illness. It's about people who have serious issues. But I wouldn't say I had a serious issue. I would say I'm one of those people who had a bad chapter in their lives, a bad few months. And it wasn't that I was really mentally ill. It was just that I didn't know what to do in that given situation, and I needed someone to talk to. So basically what I needed was a support system and motivation. And that is what the mass needs. And people even as young as 13 years old who don't get that kind of support from their parents.
Yes.
Right? They don't have anyone to talk to. But all they need is, hey, I'm going through this thing at school, I just got in a bad breakup, or my teacher got angry at me, I feel like I'm not enough for my parents,
Yes.
and they don't have anyone to talk to.
Yes.
So it's for the mass public, people who need to just share what they're going through in that given moment, whether it's a day, a month, or 2 months.
Yes.
And then, yeah, get that kind of motivated to pick themselves up. So it's not technically mental illness, it's people who are going through bad chapters of their life.
Yes.
Maybe this month, maybe not the month after, but the following month. You know,
Yes.
just knowing you have a support system.
Mm.
So plus 5 is actually for the mass. Yeah.
Yes. I agree on that problem you're saying, support system. I actually agree on that totally. I want to delve deeper into, okay, fine. You have someone out there now watching this video saying, oh, I went through a bad chapter, but I spoke to my friends. I spoke to my family and my relatives. That's what they're going to say. So how does plus 5s come into that picture?
That's why I say, wow, you're so blessed and you're so lucky.
Mm.
That's good, but the thing is, most of us don't have that. I mean, you can talk to your friends, but then you would have, oh man, after that your friends would be like, hey, remember when you went through that phase, I helped you out, you know?
Yes.
They
Oh,
might
okay.
judge you.
Okay.
Or people would be like, oh, I talked to my parents, and then your parents will probably bring it up later on when you're already okay. You don't want that kind of vibe, or maybe you did something really bad that you don't want any of your loved ones to know about.
Okay, okay. So it's okay. No, I get that point. So it's problems that it's more private problems. Can I say that? Because you would talk to your family and friends if you have problems.
And if you don't want them to get worried. Well, actually, a lot of people on the app, it's because they don't want to make their loved ones worried about them. That's another reason why.
Okay. Okay, no, it's interesting because I'm here trying to understand the actual problem space, and I can see, okay, so it's aimed towards that segment of the market. Now, what's the vision for the future of mental health and of plus 5s? The next 3 to 5 years, let's just say, or if you have a bigger vision, sure.
Okay. For mental health in general, I mean, you can see a lot of awareness going on.
Yeah.
But there's not really a different solution. People are still sticking to the traditional solutions. So moving forward, it'll be much different. It'll be solutions that don't really trigger that stigma that not just Malaysia has, but everywhere has that kind of stigma where they don't want to feel like they're mentally ill, because they're not.
Yeah.
They're just going through a rough time. They're just going through stress. So I think for mental health, there'll be more awareness. There'll be different types of solutions. For plus 5s itself, that's what we're working on. To provide that kind of, to partner with people who cater to mental illnesses, but to also provide that kind of support and motivation for people who are just having a bad day, people who need to talk, who want to learn about emotional management, because you never really know how to handle your emotions until you go through that life-changing event. I mean, you want to say you learned it in school? No, you didn't. You didn't learn your stress. You didn't learn how to handle anger. You didn't learn anything like that. You know? So if we had that kind of education, if we had that kind of workshop or that avenue where people can learn about themselves, how to handle other people, how to handle the workplace, the competition, the stress, the jealousy, then people would be able to live happier lives, and that's the goal.
So when I heard you say that, it's tell us about, okay, that's the goal, yes, that's the goal now, but what's the goal 5 years from now for plus 5s, in the sense that how does it get someone really excited about this vision? Like, what impact will it make to society if plus 5s was literally used by everyone in Malaysia? If it was used by everyone in Malaysia right now, 30 million people or 35 million, how would Malaysia be a different world? I mean, what's the impacts? What will we see?
Well, I won't tell you our end goal, what we plan to do, but moving forward, if everyone was using plus 5s, what we would also do is we'd increase job opportunities for those psychology and counseling graduates. Currently, what happens is that they go into HR and admin, but that causes that shortage in supply. But imagine if we could get all of those to onboard plus 5s, provide the kind of support to people of their peers, then everyone will be able to have that kind of support system, live happily, meet a lot of people, network. It's kind of like a community, a positive vibes kind of community. Moving forward in terms of closer to 5 years, it's to set up, how do I do this without giving away what we're actually doing? Set up a
Just say the goal.
platform.
Okay.
A platform where where people are able to learn more about mental health, but not in a stigmatized version of it.
Okay. Okay. No, that's good, and I'm gonna guess that's happening in the next 5 years. So we'll definitely be very excited for that. Now, I wanted to dwell deep on the topic of mental health because I'm coming from the background where it's hard for me to relate as someone, well, interviewing and talking to you. But I can relate a lot to just the idea of improvement. We are talking now to people, okay, I face problems, fine. A lot of people who don't even know they have a problem even, right? It may not be so serious. So, and given that you're aiming, I'm guessing you want to aim for the mass market. What about people who just say, hey, I'm fortunate enough not to have a problem. Are you for me then? Or you say, nope, we're not for those people. We're for people who know they have a serious problem or a problem.
Actually, there are a lot of people like that. So some people are like, I mean, even me before last year, I don't really understand mental health. I'm thinking like, okay, I haven't gone through that life-changing event, but that's exactly what creates that kind of big drastic change in your life because you were never prepared for it, you know?
Yes.
So, same like me. Before that, I was like, mental health, okay, it's good, self-care, good, meditation, okay, but I don't think I need it at that point.
Yes.
But then when that life event changed everything, that's when I crashed.
I see.
So, what you can do for people who haven't gone through that kind of life-changing event is to prep them, is for them to learn, do different types of events, workshops, awareness, things that are fun activities, but actually preps you up if
it happens.
Get into this kind of event. I mean, the most recent one is like, suicide ideations, divorces. I mean, you can see 78,000 divorces in the past year or so because of COVID.
Yes, okay.
Because you never knew how to handle your emotions, because you get upset, angry, you are stuck in a confined space with someone who you're supposed to love, but because of small issues you end up breaking up, could be avoided.
When you mentioned that segment just now, which you said, which is talking about divorce cases, breakups, relationships, or suicides, I suddenly wanted to just understand the definition of mental health, because now it seems like you've expanded your whole territory towards people who, more of like, how do you even have a good relationship? Can I consider, how do you manage a relationship with your boss? Is that a mental health problem, or is that going a bit too far out? Relationship with your boss, your spouse, your wife, your husband, Is that mental health? What's the mental health about that?
Mental health affects how you think, how you act, and how you talk to people. So technically, whatever you're doing is because of your mental health. Like you're a positive person.
Yes.
The reason why is because of your background. It's because of the things that are around you, how you think, act, and talk to people. You're a positive person.
Yes.
Imagine if you had something at the back of your head that was fluttering in your mind. For example, you had a bad breakup or you had a bad argument, even with your parents or your friends.
Yeah.
How you think, act, and feel towards other people would also change. Do you agree?
Yes, I agree on that.
It influences whatever you do.
I agree on that.
So knowing how to handle that kind of emotion so that it doesn't affect how you act, productivity levels. I think I'm going to pick out a data here. 14.5 billion ringgit was lost due to productivity in Malaysia. The reason why was because people were working while they were unwell. They were absent. There's high turnover because they didn't know how to handle that. They have a problem, a personal problem, and they brought it to work. They brought it to work, they weren't able to perform. It's because they didn't know how to manage it. So imagine if you knew how to manage it.
Stress management, emotion. Wow, okay. No, so that's good that you said that. So I think when I hear that clearly, it is expanded the scope so much for mental health, because usually people think, so if you can share with us, clarify with us a definition of where you see mental health is, like, because that to me covers like emotions, managing people, managing conflicts, going to the realm of business and how to manage your staff better. It's like, what's the realm of mental health if you could find a definition for mental health?
Let's think of mental health as an iceberg. Okay, so you know how the iceberg, the top part is sort of small, but the bottom part is very deep and long, right?
Yes.
Different layers, right?
Yes.
So the top part, what people usually see is mental illness. So that kind of depression, anxiety, bipolar, schiz, all these kind of things. That's what people see because it's so easy to see. But the bottom part, which is also mental health, is what people couldn't see, which is the stress, burnout, tired, all these kind of things, which affects the mass.
Yes.
Actually, mental health is like that kind of iceberg. Now you see, mental health
Interesting.
is the whole iceberg, not just the top part which you see, but it's also the things that you don't see.
Yeah. So you can easily say if everyone took on Plus Vibes, their company's revenues can increase logically.
It's proven. Research shows that if employees' mental health are good, then productivity will increase, their profitability will increase, people will be more happy going to work.
Okay, now look, now that's talking like my language here, right? I mean, earlier it was like, okay, I have problems, I'll talk to my friends. Like, no, firstly, you know, I don't have friends. See on the camera, man. I mean, I don't have the emotional need. I mean, okay, look, maybe more people should. I mean, I'm just saying, but now you're talking a whole different language. You're like, hey, we can actually help your workforce, and it sounds logical to be more productive and boost revenues if everyone's healthier and happier. And you've taken a whole different turn to this idea, right? So what's the vision for Plus Vibes? Is it a very, we're going to boost your profits number, or is it like helping people go through the stress? How do you angle Plus Vibes? Saying, you know what, I'm going to take all of it, I'm just going to grab whatever I can. There's no angle I'm pitching Plus Vibes next 1-2 years, you know.
Okay. So in that segment, it's actually focusing on corporate companies, which we also do. So we provide this kind of service to corporate companies. And the way we do that is through onboarding the employees on the platform and then collecting non-intrusive data. What I mean by non-intrusive is that we don't know. I mean, we won't divulge who the employees are, but we track what kind of stress levels they have, what kind of topics, categories, financial, childcare, talk to someone, you know, social isolation, family issues. And from that, we can tell you, okay, this department has high childcare issues. Let's do a workshop because of this. You know, to boost their productivity. They're having this problem that you don't know about, and they're bringing it to work, and that's causing them to be a lot of stress, right? Okay. So that's how we solve that kind of solution. Okay, this department has a lot of relationship problems. Let's do how you manage your emotions, anger, stress, you know, these kind of things, how you communicate effectively. And that's how you provide that kind of solution. So it does have both social value and also corporate value as well.
It sounds very nice. So a lot of companies who are hearing what you just said about boosting their workforce productivity, mental health, and employees, good. They're going to ask you a question, okay, it sounds nice. How are you actually going to do it? I mean, tell us how it works. And why don't you give us a lowdown to that?
Onboard the employees on the platform, on the Plus Vibes app. We track their usage and progress. We provide a quarterly report on usage activities. Then we provide that kind of tailored custom workshops for each department or each branch. It's as simple as that. From that workshop, it's not your typical lecture workshop, I would say. It's more of a fun activity, learning different types of techniques, tools, and we've gotten positive feedback so far. And from that, we actually have self-care products from that. So we have like essential oils, we have like, you know, free things that they can win to take care of their personal positivity, self-care habit, lifestyle, that kind of thing.
Okay.
End-to-end solution.
A company has, 100 people, 1,000 people, or even 5 people, right? Now they give their staff, hey, everyone, download this app. It's going to magically make you good. What are the staff doing on this app that's magically making them more productive? Tomorrow, I'm going to guess next month. I mean, what's the process like?
Okay. So new company comes on board. They'll be like, okay, you guys should download this. If you ever feel stressed, you know who to talk to. You can get this person to talk to within 2 minutes.
Okay.
Do you think the staff will be like, okay, they just got in a fight with their boss or colleague, they'll be like, actually, I need someone to vent out, but I don't want to let my boss know. Okay, let me try. Talk to our vibers, as we call them. They'll chat, they'll express themselves, and the thing about this chat is that after every chat, you have to rate. And that's how we know whether it actually helped them or not. On a scale of 1 to 5, our average rating is 4.7.
Yes.
So that shows that after talking, they actually felt good. It actually really did help them. So that's how we know.
Okay, if I can just add to that, fine, it sounds good. The staff will have an access channel to talk to someone. And it's a trained person, right? A vibe on the platform. What about people who have problems, and as they have problems, logically they will not want to reach out because they need problems to begin. They don't feel emotion, they don't feel like reaching out. Is that common? Or we say everyone would just use the app and reach out? Is that simple?
I think a lot of people first will try out the chat and then be like, okay, how do I start? They actually ask that. How do I
Yeah.
start? What do I do? Do I just share my problems? So it's very awkward because I think that's culture, that we're not very open in terms of sharing our problems. But then when they start doing it, they start to depend on it, and that's how we get really good reviews. And they're like, "Wow, I never knew that actually talking to someone would make me feel better."
I
Because
see.
it's something that never occurred to them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that makes sense. That makes sense.
Like if you don't try, you never know.
Yes. So, Maddy, let's talk about something you're very passionate about, which is youth. Now, you mentioned that you would love to speak about youth mental health. Why don't you share with us why is it such an interesting topic to our audience?
Because the thing about mental health is that the main focus has always been about economy, about productivity, about the current workforce. You're always talking about the adults. But then again, who's paying attention to how mental health and COVID, the pandemic, has affected the youth?
Yeah.
Talking about the social pressure, social media,
Yes.
talking about competition, going out into the working world. There's a lot of competition now, and it doesn't guarantee that you'll actually get a job.
Yes.
So that kind of mental health, how that impacts the youth, who are basically our future generation. Imagine how that's going to turn out for us maybe 5-10 years time.
Yes. So, because a lot of times I think people don't tend to invest in youth, maybe because they can't see the immediate returns.
Yes.
Right? You got to wait 5-10 years. So, what will you say is the problems that's facing the youth right now from a mental health perspective?
I mean, the youth that we get, our youngest user on the app is actually 13.
Okay. Wow.
13, and that's where they actually take the effort and identify ways on social media to reach out to someone. And
Okay.
they're chatting with our vibers, and they find it dependent. They find themselves dependent because
Yes.
the main reason is because they don't get that kind of support from their family. So
Yes.
again, because maybe perhaps their parents, their siblings don't really know what they're going through. They don't feel comfortable opening up.
Yes.
And being the youth, they're more tech savvy and they're more, digital.
Ah,
so they're more
I
dependent
see.
on an app. So they feel
Interesting.
comfortable sharing their problems on an app. But then again, because they don't have that kind of avenue or platform, I mean, the people who know about us know about us.
Yes.
But those who don't, you can see how much mental health has actually affected youth
Yes.
in terms of suicide rates. 1,700 suicide rates,
Yes.
half of them were 18 years
Wow.
old and below.
Okay.
So imagine, why isn't anyone doing anything about it?
Yes.
Because perhaps they don't know how. I mean, how do you really tackle youth mental health without stigmatizing it and without making it look like a parent-child kind of approach?
Yes.
And that's where we come in. We're the middle part. Where
Yes.
we're actually the young generation as well, but we're helping them with mental health. And that's the most important part.
I see. So you're saying that, okay, Plus Vibes is out there helping the mental health of the youth. Now, what you just told me just now was problems that they face with suicide rates, or they have serious problems. What about, and I'm going to go again, your average youth out there, are you targeting them as well? Those that may not have as serious problems, how are you targeting them if you are?
I think everyone, youth especially, they have stress issues.
Okay, stress issues.
The need to perform well, the need
Okay.
to get great jobs, the need to...
What age is this youth, by the way?
13 years old to 25.
Okay, yeah.
So it's those who are in high school, those who are in university,
Yes.
before they go out into the working world.
Yes,
Yeah.
and it's stressful because, well, is it like exams, grades, that's an education, and jobs?
Not only that, it's also relationships, okay?
Ah,
When you
okay,
don't
okay.
get that kind of
Okay.
support from your family,
Okay.
you tend to look for support or love or affection outside.
Yes.
Which is not wrong. Which
Yes.
is not wrong.
Yeah.
But imagine when you go through a really bad breakup. And I think we've all had that.
Yes.
The first love, the first bad breakup.
Yes.
How do you handle that? You feel, and you actually feel emotional pain can feel as close to as physical pain.
I see.
It really does affect people in general.
No, I must agree on that. Like relationships, everyone goes through relationships. It's a very emotional pain. Yes, you're right. So what's your insights you can share with us coming from Plus Vibes and you guys having youths on board? What's the insights you can share with people who want to understand better about this problem? What are you guys seeing?
Okay. So the number of people who actually use our platform to
Yeah.
chat in terms of youth are a lot. They
Yes.
range between, yes, the youngest is 13, but they
Mhm.
also range between 17 to 20 years old.
Okay.
So these people actually depend.
Yes.
on digital platforms to share their struggles, to talk to someone,
Okay.
look for motivation.
Okay.
But how we reach out to them is through our talks, our
Mhm.
university talks. We do a lot of these public talks
Yes.
for people to know about us, and that's the only effort that we can do so far.
Yes.
In terms of how we can help them, we believe that after doing those workshops, we did it for quite a few universities, and they really found it helpful. Simple things like 4 techniques on how do you manage your kind of stress, or what to do when you're having a breakdown, or even how do you get over trauma. I mean, I did one recently with I think it was University of Cyberjaya. How do you get over some kind of trauma?
Yeah.
And it's like step by step. I mean, I use my iPad and I'm like drawing with them through Zoom, and they're like, wow, that's kind of a different approach to handling. It's not a lecture, it's not a top-down approach.
Yeah.
It's me talking to you as if I was your friend.
Yeah.
Like as if I know what you're going through, but actually you're imagining the situation and I'm just guiding you through it.
Yeah.
So that's how we provide that kind of solution, and I don't think people get access to that, mainly because it doesn't affect the economy right now. There's not much impact in terms of productivity for the working world, you know? So people don't really think that far ahead, I guess.
Yeah. So you are saying that, okay, for the youths who are facing problems, yes, let's help them. So for the youths who are not facing obvious problems, I think it's more still guiding them where you can, right? And giving them the platform. Now, the question is this: how do you attract them to the platform when they're not facing problems? Because why would they want to chat? Or we say platform can offer other things as well.
It's about motivation.
Yeah.
The thing is, everyone needs motivation.
Yes.
And even though at this given moment you're not facing a problem, the point is to prepare you for when and if you go through a life-changing event, you'll remember, hey, actually, I learned this in school. You know the things that you learn in school? I don't know, name something like Kemahiran Yudo. I think you guys learned that, how to build things. I don't know, I wasn't educated here, but I think I know. But those kind of skills, life skills, that if you learned it before you actually go into the working world, then you're prepared for it, rather than facing something so traumatizing and not knowing what to do, and then suddenly trying to look for solutions, you know? At least if you were prepped up a bit before, if you got these kind of talks, workshops, a support system, it wouldn't affect you as much. You would know immediately, okay, I'm going through this situation, I know who to reach out to, I know what to do, I know how to control myself in terms of emotions. That's the thing about prepping. Everything in life is about how prepared you are.
About prepping.
Yeah.
You know, when you told me that, okay, I pictured my young people, no, my nephews, cousins. I pictured young people, okay, youth. I pictured them say, and by the way, a lot of them are your typical youth, Instagramming all day, TikTok all day, no idea what to do in life, play games, kind of stuff. Okay, now I give them the app. I ask myself, will they use it? Say, I want to prep myself for the future. I think most of these youth out there that really need the app, they won't use it. Do you correct me if I'm wrong? And
sure.
How do you help these people who are playing video games the whole day? Can you imagine that kind of person? Just no idea about their future. How do you help them? You know?
Right, that's so true. But the thing is, those are, I mean, you're talking about a specific group of people who are okay. Support system, motivation.
They may not have no motivation. They have no motivation in life.
Then they're comfortable.
Yeah. They're working at Burger King, right? They're working at Burger King. They just have no idea what to do. They're dead end in the job. They just lack of motivation.
Okay, there.
Yeah.
Dead end in a job, lack of motivation.
Yeah.
At some point, they'll be like, wow, wait a minute. I want to reach something else. I want to do something else. How do I do that? I'm kind of nervous. I'm kind of scared. I don't know who to talk to. I don't have a support system.
Okay.
Motivation, right?
Yeah.
You go into a motivational talk. You browse motivational videos. That's where you look for inspiration. Lack of motivation, what you need is inspiration. You're thinking, do they want to? Do they just want to stay in their comfort zone? At some point, everyone will leave their comfort zone, no?
How do you reach out to this youth, or do you expect them to come on the platform by themselves when they need to?
No, actually, that's why we want to do a lot of these talks. I mean, right now, everything's digitally, but of course, we plan to launch a bigger kind of talk. I mean, convention center kind of talk. Okay, let's do a youth carnival. Let's talk about motivation. Let's talk about things that you can do. Fun activities, more like a carnival-based kind of thing. Okay. That's where you get people, hey, I'm kind of curious, you know?
Yeah.
You know how you have those food truck events. People go there, why? For the food.
Yeah.
Now let's have similar concepts, something fun, But for career motivation, I think a lot of people would want to go to that kind of event because it's their future that they're talking
Yes.
about. At one point, you don't want to work for Burger King forever.
No, you'll be surprised. Sometimes people just can't be bothered in life and they just want to
Are they
work in
married?
Burger
Do
King.
they plan to get married?
They are no, they are 15 years old, 16 years old. They're a youth, so they don't
That's
think
so
about this.
young.
But you want to aim at these people. You said you want to help them. Is that so? Do you plan to help them at 16 years old?
If they are struggling. So at 16, at 13, 14, 15, 16, if they are struggling.
He's working at Burger King. He's no motivation in life. He has no idea for his future. Is the app aimed at helping him?
Okay, no. I think you're speaking. Are you sure you're speaking for him?
I mean, he has no lack of motivation, and a lot of people are just playing video games all day. You know, they can't be bothered in life. Yeah.
Because he's 15 years old.
Yeah, and so correct me if wrong, that's the majority of young 15, 16-year-olds. They don't know what to do in life. They have no direction. They lack motivation. Isn't that correct?
I think it's not that lack motivation. I think they're more clueless.
They're clueless. Yeah, exactly. Okay.
Even when I would say when I was 15
Yeah.
years old, I didn't know what I wanted to do. It's because I wasn't exposed.
So is the app helping them, or is the app helping people who have really serious or problems that they want to reach out? Or is the app helping these people who are just lack of direction, motivation?
The app is helping people who are actually struggling, don't have a support system, need someone to talk to.
Mm.
The workshop is helping people who are technically clueless, who need
Okay.
to. Because
Okay.
how you really identify which path in life you want to take
Yeah.
is by experimenting, right?
Yeah.
So you're trying to work at Burger King. You think, okay, 1 year, 2 year, after 3, 4 years, now this is not the path I want. You try something else. It's by experimenting.
Yeah.
So the workshops will allow you to experiment in different types of industries.
Yeah.
Try out different things until you find something you really like.
Okay. So that's not through the app then. That's through a
No.
workshop. Okay.
Yes. The app is purely for support and motivation. If you want
Motivation?
That kind yeah, well, you're looking at articles and videos.
Okay. Okay.
So if you want that kind of, if you're talking about the youth who like to read, the youth who like to look at motivational articles and videos, rather than Instagram looking at other people's lives,
Yeah.
we're directing them to stay on this app and look for things that can improve themselves.
Who would be your main focus? Because as mental health, which way is the most important segment, or you say target everyone? As a business, what's your direction for targeting, or as a vision for the platform? Who would you feel is the most important segment? Because we spoke quite a few segments, from business to youth to young adults.
So as a business or as a social value?
I say it as both business first and then as social value for the vision. Who would you want to target the most?
Of course, for business, it will be corporate companies.
Corporates, okay,
Yeah,
okay.
It will be to give their employees that kind of avenue where they can anonymously reach out if they need help.
Yeah.
Give them that kind of motivation, give them a reward system. Corporate companies.
Okay.
And I think the main thing why corporate companies don't prioritize mental health is because it's expensive. Mental health is considered as a luxury and not a necessity, like how you have your insurance for physical health, right?
Yeah.
That's how it should be for
I see.
mental health. And that's why most corporate companies don't implement it.
Yeah.
It's because you're not going to pay 100 or 400 ringgit an hour for yourself.
Yeah,
It's just too much. So with plus fives, once you increase the supply and then you have that demand, then the price would also be lower. The reason why it's so expensive is because of the low supply. I think Malaysia only has like 200 certified counselors or therapists compared to 8,000 in like 2018, okay? They all dropped out. Why? Because there wasn't enough avenue for them to get job opportunities.
Yes.
See? So in terms of business, it's corporate companies.
Yeah.
To make it so affordable that they see it as a necessity for their employee rather than luxury.
Yeah.
Social value, it is still for the youth. I mean, you're talking about the people who, you're saying that they are in the comfort zone, don't know what to do. But at one point, some people do need help. Regardless of what they're going through. Their parents might be going through a divorce.
Yeah.
They might be surrounded by people who are toxic.
Yes.
You know, that kind of impact, and that's where the people who we want help, you know, to make sure that they build that they are mentally resilient enough to go through that chapter, so that when they grow up, they'll be like, hey, I went through that, I can go through whatever I'm going through now.
Yes.
Yeah?
No, that's a very good vision. If we can move on and talk a bit now about strategy or business running a startup, right? Now, you have great vision and you clearly are solving a clear problem in the market. What's the biggest challenges you're facing as a startup? You know, like what's the challenges that is difficult?
Good question. I think you want to talk about funding. Yeah, true. All startups need money to fund. How we started was self-funded, but of course, when you want to grow, when you want to scale, you need deep pockets. And the reason why is because you already have an existing product, an existing demand, traction.
Yes.
But in order for you to scale, what happens? You need to double up or triple up the existing resources you have.
Yes.
So it is about scalability, how much you can get in order to scale. Yeah, so I think that's the main priority for startups. Other than that, it's also about manpower. I mean, you can scale, but if you don't have the right manpower, you're scaling in the wrong direction.
Yeah. Yeah. I was speaking to another friend who is the founder of Open Minds, a digital media agency. They're 10 years old. The main thing he said, people.
Yeah.
People is the biggest problem, and it's not easy to retain people, especially in a company. So I guess as a startup, scalability, which is funding, and of course getting the right people. So what's the strategies, or what's an idea? How do you guys want to approach, even just advice for startup founders out there? What's your take after running even for a few years, even in this particular startup?
For manpower specifically, I think my staff would know. I mean, I would get them to actually try out the work first to see whether they can do it or not, and that saves a lot of your time, whether you have the right people or not. So in terms of looking for the right manpower, it's to test them out, see if they are self-learners, see if they actually are passionate enough to do it. Because it's not about, I mean, if you're a startup, you can't spend a lot of time teaching. I mean, corporate companies can do that. They can train you. They have a lot of money to train you. But as a startup, you need people who are self-learners, people who are willing to go the extra mile. Okay, this is what we need. I don't know how to do it, but I'm going to try to figure it out. You know, that kind of, so it's more of a personality issue rather than a skill issue. Because honestly, I feel like you can learn any skill if you want to. I mean, I picked up a lot of random skills through YouTube. It wasn't my background. But see, so I think for startups, that's the kind of manpower that you need. Self-learners.
I agree. I use the word self-learning a lot in our company. Even that's clearly the key. So what do you feel is the most important skill entrepreneurs need to have, especially if they're going through the journey as well as starting out? What's one or two pieces of advice you give them in terms of really what should they be doing as entrepreneurs? What's important?
Honestly, you can have the best product in the world, but if the market doesn't need it, there's no point in creating it. You're going to spend a lot of marketing resources in trying to convince people that you need this product, So go for a market, a business, a product that is actually in demand. Once there's no demand, like how I did in food truck. It was in demand then. I wasn't going to do food truck the whole entire 5-10 years because it slows down. That kind of market slows down. F&B. I mean, everyone was starting up a cafe, I think 5 years ago, right? Yes, it was a trend. Is it a trend now? Not so much. So always focus on market trend. And the next thing is that agility. You need to always be flexible. I mean, COVID, suddenly lockdown, what are you going to do? Be agile in creating new creative ways, innovative ways to reach out to the market, your products, these kind of things, because cost is always running. And I think that's the main thing that we always have to keep at the back of the mind is that every day, every month, your cost is running. What are you doing?
Yes. No, you're right. I think it's important. And I think also, as an entrepreneur, you're going to have the right vision, right culture, and pushing that vision forward, I think is so important. So we're coming to a close, and I wanted to give you the opportunity to share a message you want to share with the audience. What's something on your side that you would love to share with the audience about either the vision, the company, the product, or just some advice? What do you think something you can share with the audience?
Going forward, I think a lot of the youth and people in general, I mean, even those who are already in corporate companies, people don't want to work in corporate companies anymore because they want to have that kind of flexibility. They want to become gig workers, or freelancers, or entrepreneurs. I mean, they're all in the same boat. So it's about that. And I think what I want to share with people is that take the risk. Take the risk now. I see a lot of people when they're 40 only or 50 taking the risk. But it's about that. Doing something while you're still young, trying out something so different and trying to make it work. It's that kind of challenge in the life that makes it so meaningful. I think that's what the advice I would like to give. I mean, some people will be like, no, I'm kind of scared. I want to stay in my comfort zone. But then again, when you see other people trying, you'll be like, wow, how are they doing that, you know? And you get that kind of inspiration from them. Try
Yes.